Welcome to another sketchbook video. I am going to show you a tour of how I filled this little sketchbook with fantasy houses, and I've only used my imagination to create each of these pages in this sketchbook. I've had so much fun filling these pages and I'm really looking forward to showing you what I have created. I took this sketchbook with me on the road a lot this summer and this autumn, so most of these pages are created in a train or during my travels. And I'll show you what materials I used and what I took with me to create art on the go as well. So without further ado, let's turn the camera around and let's have a look at what I created this summer. There we go. Let's dive into this sketchbook. It is a Sakura sketchbook and the paper is quite thin. It's not really meant for watercolors, but it's perfect for inking and sketching and note keeping. But I decided to use it for watercolors anyway. For this sketchbook, I've used it mostly on the road and out and about. So the materials that I have used are a little travel palette of watercolor paints. Some water-soluble markers, so these brush pens, and I have a few other brands as well that I really like to give a little bit of quick color to my pages, and then using a water-fillable brush to quickly change that color into paint. I also sometimes bring a little travel brush with me to add some details. For the inking part, I tend to use waterproof ink. So sometimes I use some Pitt Artist Pens or some other waterproof fine liners that I use to add the lines to my artwork first. Sometimes I use a waterproof brush pen to add the lines to my sketchbook first, and then I add the color afterwards. So usually I take a few pens with me. I don't tend to sketch and I go straight in with ink. So that's how I prepare myself for making art on the road. Usually I write in my sketchbook when I started it, and I have not actually done that yet this time. So I will do that after I've done this sketchbook tour, right in the day that I started the sketchbook and the day I completed it. So as you can see, I filled the sketchbook with loose, wonky fantasy houses, and I've had so much fun completing these pages. I go for really loose, fluid lines and watercolor splashes to create an effect that is a bit fantasy-like and a little bit magical. I created a lot of these pages whilst I was traveling. And that means that a lot of my lines are a little bit more wonky than usual. And I actually embraced that effect. When you're drawing in the train and that train is moving, it is really hard to draw straight lines. So I decided to go for a style that actually took that wobbliness, that wonkiness, and made it into something that looked even more fun. So I had a lot of fun playing with these. And quite often I created these pages where I added the ink in the train or on my journey, and then when I came home I added the paint afterwards. Or I add the paint with a brush pen, with a marker, and then add a bit of water to it when I get home to change it into paint. And you can see that the paper is a little bit sort of warping. In places the paint sort of bleeds through a little bit from pages underneath, and I knew beforehand that that would happen because this sketchbook is not really meant for watercolors. So you can see here that some of the color from the other side is coming through, and I'm okay with that. I knew that beforehand, before I got started, and I just accepted the fact that this paper was going to put to the test a bit. I've also not added lots of layers of watercolor. So you can see this is quite a loose and quick application of color. This is not the type of paintings where I added multiple layers of watercolor and where I really needed to use watercolor paper. So I wanted to go for something that was quite small, easy to carry with me, and also with low pressure. I love creating artwork that where it's okay if I make mistakes, and sometimes using a sketchbook with lots of pages, with slightly more affordable paper, is a really lovely way to free yourself up to experiment and to have fun. See, there we go. So each of these pages took me 10 minutes maximum, 10-15 minutes. Really great exercise for during my travels. And it also meant that as soon as I feel like I'm done with the page, I just turn the page and start another drawing. And I did all of these drawings from my imagination. I am someone who uses a lot of reference photos. So in my art classes and in my community, we very often use reference photos for inspiration to draw from. And this time I decided to not use any reference photos and just really use my imagination. And I had so much fun doing this. And I'm actually thinking of creating a course teaching this technique because I had so much fun doing it myself. I'm sure other people would also really enjoy learning this. See, there we go. I really embraced the fact that these houses didn't have to be realistic. They didn't have to be constructually sound. I didn't use any rulers. I've just made it up on the spot. And I had so much fun doing that. This really vibrant pink is one of my favorite colors, one of my favorite watercolors at the moment. I absolutely love using that. And yeah, you will see it a few times in this sketchbook. I also add some splashes. Really embrace the looseness. See, there we go. I really love this one. Stacking different stories of fantasy on top of each other and then create a house out of it. There we go. The art materials I have used for this sketchbook are all listed underneath if you're curious. And see, we're sort of reaching the end. There's no color on these pages yet, so these are the last few pages of this sketchbook. I will do the second half of the sketchbook soon, I hope. I keep about 5 or 6 sketchbooks at the same time. And these are the last pages of this sketchbook. So I'm going to leave the rest here and then fill the rest of the sketchbook in the next few months. So another sketchbook will be coming. Thank you so much for joining in. See, this is the last page. My name is Irene. I'm an artist and illustrator and I teach lots of online and in-person art courses and workshops. I have an online community where we draw and we paint together every week. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like and subscribe it. And many more art tutorials and videos and sketchbook tours are in the making. This is going to be my year of YouTube, so stay tuned. And thank you so much for joining in. And I will see you soon for a next sketchbook tour. Let me know what your favorite page is underneath. I'm curious to hear. Thank you so much and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.